The catfight between Representative Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene continues. As Lauren Boebert recently takes shots at her colleague. At one point, Boebert accused Greene of being quote unquote unhinged. Fun. All right, so now the most recent spat between these two, who largely agree on policy positions, and I think that's important to note, is when Greene decided to go full Team McCarthy. So it's a curious decision, considering how a lot of the Freedom Caucus, the very hard right MAGA people, which normally Marjorie Greene is part of, decided to not back McCarthy because they said that they didn't trust him to, do the things that that they want him to do, which is to basically throw a monkey wrench into the works of the government and to try to, get rid of things that might actually help poor people. Those are things that Marjorie Greene also agrees with. But the difference here is power. So now McCarthy had promised Greene her committee assignments, and so she decided to go all in, while Boebert joined her MAGA colleagues, Representative Matt Gaetz, Bob Good, Paul Gosar, in voting against McCarthy. All of those people were on the outs with McCarthy. They were not getting any positions. They were not getting any clout. They didn't hold any, favorability by McCarthy and the rest of the Republican Party. Unlike Greene, who is now attempting to rehabilitate her image. So now McCarthy won the speakership. All those who were opposed to him actually didn't vote for him. They just voted present to allow him to win the speakership. And so that's kind of a middle finger as well, but still allowing him to win. So now in return for this, he gave massive concessions. Massive concessions. That said, Boebert is still very salty towards Marjorie Greene. In fact, here's what she said. Quote, I've been asked to explain MTG's beliefs on Jewish space lasers. On why she showed up to a white supremacist conference. I'm just not going to go there, Boebert told the AP. She wants to say all these things and seem unhinged on Twitter. So be it. And you don't sound unhinged now? Y'all both are. But okay. Now, look, Greene claims that she was sucked into QAnon, but no longer believes it. She also claimed that she had no idea that she was speaking to white nationalists, which is, again, both of those are pretty hilarious. But the whole idea that, I didn't know that I was speaking to a white nationalist conference. You're saying that you went somewhere to speak and you did absolutely no research on who you're going to speak to? I just ended up there. I walked into the convention hall and there it was. I was in front of a crowd. Who knew? I didn't know who I was speaking to. I thought I was speaking to another group. Yes, that's it. Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, well, yeah. Now, the thing is, Marjorie Greene describes herself as a Christian nationalist. And by the way, so does Lauren Boebert. She thinks that Christianity should be the official religion of the United States. Now, Christian nationalism, this is another nice, palatable way to refer to yourself as a Nazi. Policy-wise, very similar to Nazism. Extreme nationalism, massively curtailed immigration, being against LGBTQIA plus people, spreading conspiracies like Great Replacement theory, strong military. Now, by the way, you can point out, well, but they wanted McCarthy to cut money from the Pentagon. How can you say that? They're for strong. They want to cut spending in the military, outflanking the squad on the left. Well, hold on. You know that one of the reasons that they don't want money in defense right now? And by the way, I also want less money in the defense budget, but not for the same reason. They don't want Ukraine to have it. That's really it. Remember, they prefer the Russians. Turns out, they like the Russians, don't like the Ukrainians. There's all sorts of conspiracy theories about Ukraine. And so they're like, well, we'll just cut it off. Funny enough, cutting military spending, which again, I support, But for weirdo reasons, I mean, yeah, I don't know. What they would rather do with the military, by the way, is put it on our southern border. That's what they would do. To try to protect it from immigrants who are asylum seekers, mostly, for the most part, trying to flee terrible conditions in other countries. War, poverty. But anyway, Boebert and Greene, they do not openly disagree on their political positions. This is not a position fight. They both openly hate the LGBTQIA community. They support things like what Ron DeSantis is doing in Florida. They all claim that teachers and gay people are grooming people or grooming children. Both supported QAnon. They both stated that the January 6th rioters, innocent people, not, and that some were Antifa. And they all wanted Trump to be reinstated as president. They have very, very similar beliefs and positions. The only difference here is that Marjorie Greene has gotten power and Boebert did not. And I think there's also some jealousy. And so I point to that, some quotes here by Boebert, who basically seems like she's tired of living in Marjorie Greene's shadow. I mean, they have been linked to and compared to each other since they had gotten elected, even before then. And so, yeah. Now, first, let me point out that in Boebert's district, Boebert had barely won re-election by like 500 votes. Greene easily sailed to re-election. Then you had the scandals around Boebert that, of course, had hurt her in her more of a mixed district in Colorado. Look, you had her dirty-ass restaurant, fudging the mileage forms. That was a scandal. Her husband exposing himself to minors at a bowling alley. Boebert's got problems. She's got enough problems without being linked to Marjorie Greene, who has herself gotten into a lot of trouble and done a lot of different stunts, including chasing after a Parkland survivor on a video and verbally harassing him. Boebert almost didn't survive her election, and so she's got to be a little bit more careful in her district than Marjorie Greene does. And she knows enough to realize that Marjorie Greene, that association, makes her look bad politically. She's owned it for quite some time. In fact, last year, the two nearly came to blows at a meeting of the far-right Freedom Caucus over Greene's appearance with Nick Fuentes, the white nationalist. The confrontation apparently got so heated, one witness later said that they had to separate them. They thought they were going to get physically violent with each other. One Freedom Caucus member had to get in between them both to de-escalate the situation. They don't like each other. Very, very obvious. And there is a lot of jealousy going in here, I think, as a result of Boebert looking at Marjorie Greene and the situation that she has and the power that she's acquiring now and thinking, God damn it, that could have been me.